Okay, I'm about to record this quick video because the head of Hamas was just assassinated in Tehran, and a couple hours ago, the head of Hezbollah was murdered in Lebanon in the airstrike. Unfortunately, I can't really pronounce their names, but I'm going to try to put up a picture of the two of them in this video, along with their names. But I just want to make this quick video just to say this is the big reason why I don't think the Middle East resistance against the United States is going to be successful. Not only do we not have the military means, and we already know we don't, because even after the U.S. killed Qasem Soleimani, they couldn't respond. And the primary way the Middle Easterners used to respond to U.S. aggression was through quote-unquote terror attack. Essentially, citizens in Western countries used to act out in response to the United States killing people in their countries, and they would be labeled terrorists. This is where the origin of the term terrorist actually comes from, really. I mean, like how it's used around Muslims. Is it fair to classify them terrorists? Maybe, I don't know, but that's essentially what's going on. And now that there's such a taboo around terrorism, Muslims in Western countries cannot respond to it. So they can't, it will be like a tit for tat. They can't do that anymore. And so they lost a lot of a way for them to apply pressure on Western governments. Anyway, not only that, they can't respond militarily because they don't have the technological and economic means. They can't respond economically. And also, a big thing that's happening with Muslims that you probably don't know, that a lot of people probably don't notice, is that they are very rapidly becoming westernized as the United States and Western Europe export, especially the United States, they're exporting their culture. And this is going to be a major problem because really Islam is the only thing holding off U.S. cultural and economic imperialism, in the same way Catholicism held off U.S. and economic and cultural imperialism in Latin America before Catholicism was reformed with Vatican II. Muslims are going to have a big, once Islam subsides in the Middle East, they're going to be wide open to basically Western domination. And we saw this with the Soviet Union when the CIA used to export American culture to Eastern Europe and the other Soviet states or Soviet adjacent states. All they have to do is expose you to their culture and to their propaganda, and slowly mold your way of being and way of thinking to be similar to an American, to adopt Western values and ideals, and soon your country is basically going to be opened up to be dominated culturally and economically by the West. And I don't think Muslims are going to be able to resist this. We already see Muslims in Western Europe and America and Australia. They've adopted Western behavior patterns. They drink, they fornicate, the women are promiscuous, they don't cover their heads. I'm not saying whether this is a good thing or a bad thing. I'm simply saying they're westernized. And we're seeing this in places in the Middle East like Morocco, Algeria, Lebanon. They're also becoming westernized. And people tend to speak badly about Iran, but Iran, one of the most radical Muslim states in the Middle East, stands most aggressively against U.S. imperialism. You know, it's radical Muslims that oppose U.S. imperialism. The moderate Muslims essentially submitted to the West. They just don't like the killing. They've adopted, basically, they have inferiority complexes. They believe Westerners are superior to them. They might not say that outright, but that's what they believe. It's actually the radical Muslims that are the strongest people in their societies. The moderates are almost always the weakest people, both physically and mentally. They don't have the resolve to resist imperialism or foreign domination. This is why left-wingers in America are so ineffective. If you notice, it's always right-wingers who are right-wingers tend to be in all countries tend to be more attractive, and they tend to be like more physically and mentally dominant than left-wingers. This is going to be a major problem in the Middle East and Muslims around the world, and I don't think they're going to be able to resist this, especially with how quickly like social media has taken off and has changed. Social media apps like Instagram and Facebook and stuff, I think that they're going to have a very difficult time resisting the United States once this older generation of Muslims that grew up in a different time dies off. Just as the right wing in America is essentially toast once the baby boomers die, Muslims are going to be essentially toast once this older generation of Muslims die. They've already essentially outlawed Islam as like true Islam. I'm not saying ISIS and Al-Qaeda and the Taliban are true Muslims. I'm saying it's a slippery slope. The devout Muslims are going to be the new terrorists. There is going to, it's going to be just like Catholicism. True Catholicism does not really exist anymore. It's only in small pockets. And if you know, Steve Bannon is a radical Catholic, and he grew up in a radical Catholic background. That's why he's so like resistant to like a lot of the stuff that goes on in the world. He's actually an anti-modernist. And soon, just as Catholicism faded away as a dominant cultural and economic force in the world, Muslims are going to fade as a dominant economic force. All that will remain is neoliberalism and international finance capital.